Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Mrs. Cudmore, I'm one of the counselors here at Westview, and I'm joined by Mrs. Chithaluru, Mrs. C. We will be talking to you tonight about creating a balanced four-year plan. So thank you again for joining us. So our agenda for the night, we will be talking to you about the Westview 4x4 schedule, reviewing some of the terminology, making sure that you understand what we're talking about when we talk about terms and quarters and semesters, and how that looks on our 4x4 schedule. We also are going to cover the graduation and college requirements to make sure your students are on track to graduate high school. And if their plans after high school include college admissions, making sure that they're taking the right classes and meeting the requirements for that as well. We'll also talk about the transcript and how to read a transcript and understand what you're looking at when you look at your student's transcript or their course history. We'll walk you through creating a four-year plan next year. So the Westview schedule, we have what's called a 4x4 schedule, and sometimes it helps when I'm explaining it to have a visual like I have here on the screen. So talking to you about what is a term, how long is a term, what is a quarter, and how does that work in our school year. So our academic school year starts in August and ends in June. The midway point is January. It's like any traditional school year. Within that year, we have term 1, which goes from August until January. And then we have term 2, which goes from January until June. So within each term, students can take 3 or 4 classes. So they can take up to 4 classes in term 1 and up to 4 classes in term 2 for a total of 8 classes in one school year. We'll talk to you about the different combinations and how many classes a student can take, and some of the different variations, which is what makes the 4x4 such a unique schedule. So in term 1, a student might have their English class. So they have, let's say this is a freshman and they're taking their English 1-2 class. Some of our students will take that in term 1 and some of our students will take that in term 2. So it just depends on your student's particular schedule. But they're only going to be in that English class for half of the school year. So they're covering the full curriculum for 9th grade English in either term 1 or term 2. So in this example, it's in term 1. Then they're done with that English class for their 9th grade year, and then they might move into their math class. So let's say that's integrated math 1. They might only be in that class for term 2. So they're not necessarily in their classes, their subject areas all year, but the full year of the course is taught in one term. Within the term, we're divided up into quarters. So the quarters are the grading period. So at the end of quarter 1, which is about October, middle of October, students receive a grade for the first half of their classes. So in this case, it would be the English 1 grade. Then they start the second half of that English class in quarter 2, and they receive a second grade in January. And then again, they're done with that English class for this particular school year. Then we move into quarters 3 and 4, which are in term 2. So if a student is then starting their math class, they would have the first half of their math class, integrated math 1A, in quarter 3, and then they're done with that in about March. And then they start the second half of their math class for quarter 4, and they're done in June. So there's 4 grading periods throughout the year. They receive grades at the end of each of those quarters. For credits, students can earn 5 credits per quarter for each class that they take. So I'll show you an example in a few minutes of what the credits can look like and how many credits a student can earn. But essentially, if a student takes 8 classes during the school year, they can earn up to 80 credits in one school year. So again, one class equals 10 credits. They get 5 credits per quarter. So for the English 1-2 class, they get 5 credits for English 1 and 5 credits for English 2, and they've completed their 10 credits for their freshman English class. So I mentioned earlier that students can take 3 or 4 classes each term. The minimum is 3 classes per term for our 9th through 11th graders. Our seniors can take a minimum of 2 classes. But for our 9th through 11th graders, students can take 3 classes each term, which would be 6 total classes for the school year. So that would be earning 60 credits in one school year. They can take 7 classes and earn 70 credits, or 80 credits with 8 classes. The total required to graduate is 230 credits. So if a student takes the minimum 6 classes a year for 4 years, they would earn 240 credits. That still gives them 10 extra credits. So a student can take 6 classes and still be on track to graduate on time. I know sometimes we have students or families that are concerned about taking an off roll because they think the student might fall behind in their credits, but they can actually take off roll every single term and still be on track to graduate on time. A lot of our students will choose to take 8 classes a year. So they'll earn 80 credits each year times 4 years is a total of 320 credits. So that would be an excess of 90 credits. The student would have 90 extra credits when they graduate high school. So they can use those 90 extra credits in a variety of different ways. They can take classes that they're interested in. They can fill those credits with a specific program they might be in, band or ROTC. They can explore different subject areas, maybe something that they might potentially want to major in college. So by taking the full 8 classes, they have lots of opportunities to earn extra credits. Just a quick overview of our college and graduation requirements. Our Poway Unified graduation requirements are fairly similar to the A through G requirements, which are the UC and CSU admissions requirements. So for the 4-year public colleges in California, they call these the A through G requirements. So these are the subject areas students have to take in high school in order to be admitted to direct to a 4-year college out of high school. So they're very similar to our graduation requirements. The only differences are in these subject areas that are highlighted. So to graduate high school, students need 20 credits of math, but to be admitted to a 4-year college, they need 30 credits or 3 years of math. That's the minimum that's required. They do recommend that you have 4 years of math for college admissions. So they do want a little bit more in that math category. The other one that's a little different is the language other than English or world language. It's not required to graduate high school in the Poway Unified School District, but it is required for the 4-year college admissions. So the minimum is 2 years of a language other than English, and they do recommend that you have 3 years. Again, these are the California university requirements. There are other colleges your students may apply to, so you want to make sure that as they're going through high school, they're checking those requirements. If there's a particular college that they're interested in outside of the UC-CSU system, you just want to make sure that they're meeting the minimum requirements for those particular colleges. A lot of them are similar to the A through G requirements, but sometimes we find a college that might have an extra year of math or an extra year of science. Sometimes it's that 3rd year of language that's required. So just make sure your students are keeping track of that and double checking if there's a particular college that they're interested in. Also, just a reminder that grades must be a C or better in all of these classes for college admissions. So a D counts for credit for graduation, but it does not meet the minimum requirements for 4-year college admissions. A course validation is when a student takes a higher level course in either math or world language. Colleges recognize the highest level as the equivalent to the number of years taken. So for example, if a student took a math class in 8th grade that is on that list of courses that colleges require, they can count that class from 8th grade as a year towards their admissions requirements. So we have a lot of students who take integrated math 1 in 8th grade, and then they might come into high school, take integrated math 2, integrated math 3, and then maybe move on to the honors pre-calculus AP calculus class. This would be the equivalent of 5 years of math. So 5 classes that the student has taken. So the college will recognize that the classes in either 7th or 8th grade met the requirement for college admissions. The students don't earn credit on their high school transcript for a 7th or 8th grade class, but it does meet that requirement for 4-year college admissions. Similarly, world language is the same, where they will see a class in 7th or 8th grade as meeting a year of that requirement. So this student took Spanish 1, 2 in 8th grade, 3, 4, and 5, 6 in 9th grade, 7, 8, and 10th grade, and then the honor Spanish and AP Spanish in 11th grade. So that is the equivalent to 6 years of a language when it comes to college admissions. So again, it's the highest level the student has taken. That's the equivalent of the years that they can count for college admissions. Many of the college applications ask that question. So when your student gets to their senior year and they're filling out their college applications, there is a question that asks if they took any language or math classes in middle school. So the student would report those classes on their application. Just some things to note when you're looking at the transcript. Some of the things that are listed on the transcript include the student's course history, so the classes that they've taken and the grades that they've received, any courses that are in progress, so what they're currently enrolled in, credit summary, and then their GPA. So those are the things that are included on the transcript. Some of the things that you will not find on the transcript are progress report grades. So those aren't official. Those don't go on your official transcript. You won't see, again, the classes taken in middle school. You won't see any test scores or any class rank. So our district does not provide test scores or class rank on a student's transcript. Here's a quick sample of a transcript. So this is a student who's currently in 10th grade. So you can see the classes that they've already taken and completed in 9th grade and the first half, quarter 1 and quarter 2 of 10th grade. And then the last two boxes there show the work in progress. So that's the classes the student is currently enrolled in for quarter 3 and quarter 4. This is the main part of the transcript. You can see the classes divided up by quarter. This particular sample shows a class that's graded on a semester-based grading system, which is a class like band where they receive 2 grades at the end of the term. So if your student is in a program that has a semester-based class, you might see that a little bit different on their transcript. But most students just have their quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 grades when they're looking at their transcript. You'll also see the credit summary. So this will show you the credits that a student has already completed and what they still need, which classes they still need in order to meet their graduation requirements. So the first column shows you the subject area requirements and then the required number of credits in each subject area. So there's a total of 230 credits required to graduate high school in the Poway School District. The next column shows you completed. So this is what the student has already completed. This particular student has earned 120 credits. The next column, WIP, stands for work in progress. So those are the classes that the student is currently enrolled in but hasn't yet earned grades for. And then the last column is what's still needed. So those are the remaining credits the student needs to earn in the remaining years of high school. So this is a great place when your student is looking at courses that they need to meet their graduation requirements, or if they're looking at what they want to take next school year, they can come to this column and see this particular student still needs some PE credits, some physical science credits. So depending on your student's grade level, that will determine how many credits they still need. Another place that your student can look at their grades is in Student View. So they have a course history section in their Student View account, and this is updated in real time. So this shows the student what's in their grade book, their course history, what's showing in our system. So you can see the subject areas again that are required, and then the bars will show you what's already been completed. So anything that's in green is already completed. Anything that's in gold is the work in progress. And then the gray area is the still needed column. So you can see exactly which subject areas your student still needs. If you click on the blue title of the subject area, it will actually show you underneath the courses that that student has already taken in that particular subject area. So if you want to see just their English grades, you can click on the English subject area title, and that will show you their grades for their English classes. At the very bottom, you'll see the student course history, and the detail is turned on. This will show you all of the classes they've taken and the grades earned, just like it does on the transcript. So this is another place that you can see all of the classes the student has already completed. We find that sometimes this works well for students and sometimes we have some issues. It tends to be with the Chrome browser. So if your student is not able to view their course history and they're using a Chrome browser, have them try another browser and see if that works for them. You'll also see your student's GPA. So we get a lot of questions, what's my student's GPA? They can actually see it themselves if they pull up their course history. So the 9th through 12th grade academic GPA includes all of their classes from 9th through 12th grade, except PE classes and any school service classes. So if they're in ASB or they've had an academic tutor class, then those wouldn't be included in the GPA, but all other classes except PE and school service are included. And the academic GPA is weighted. So they do get the extra honors points or bonus points for any AP classes or any of our honors weighted classes, which we have 3 right now, honors weighted classes. The unweighted GPA is the same classes that you're looking at, except it doesn't give that extra bonus points for the honors or AP classes. So it would just be if every class was on a 4.0 scale. So when your student is looking to develop a 4-year plan, all students are kind of in a different stage. Some have already started a 4-year plan. Some are just in the very beginning stages of looking at one. Some change their minds and want to take different classes throughout the year. So it's good for students to kind of do this every year and see whether or not they still have their same plan in place or whether or not they've made some changes along the way. But what we recommend is always starting with the required classes. So each grade level has specific classes that students are supposed to take. So in 9th grade, we have 4 classes that students are supposed to take for their 9th grade year. So we have English, which they can choose either English 1-2 or the Honors English 1-2. They need to take at least 1 math class. They can choose to take more. If they want to do 2 math classes, they can, but they need at least 1 term of math. And then they need to take the ENS 1, 2, and 3, 4 classes. So ENS 1, 2 is our PE and health requirement, and the ENS 3, 4 is additional PE classes. Some students might be in band or ROTC, so they actually earn their PE credits through those programs. So if your student is in that, they might take that class instead of the ENS 3, 4, but they are required to take the ENS 1, 2 class, which is their health and PE credits. In 10th grade, they're required to take English, world history, and a math class. So the English choices are English 3, 4 or honors humanities. World history, they can take the world history 1, 2 or the honors with AP world history class, which is a full year course. So it would be both terms. And then a math class. And again, the math class depends on your particular student's level. In 11th grade, students take an English class and a U.S. history class. So they can take American Lit or Honors American Lit, and they can take either U.S. History 1-2 or the AP U.S. History 1-2. The AP U.S. History is combined with the Honors American Lit. So for students who take that AP U.S. History, they're getting their English and their history credits together in one class. In 12th grade, students will take an English class and then a civics and economics course. There's a variety of choices for their English class in senior year, so they can look at our course list and see which one seems to be the best fit for them in their senior year. And then the civics and economics, they can take either the 1-term class or the full year AP government class. So those are the required classes by grade level. So again, I would fill those in first when your student is developing the four-year plan because we know that they need to take those classes each year. Then you want to fill in any additional required classes to graduate. So your students will need, in addition to their math, English, and history classes, they'll also need to take one biological science class and one physical science class. And they can take these any school year, any grade level. It doesn't have to be in a specific grade level. They also need a fine art class. Again, they can take that in any grade level. And they need any remaining PE credits. So if they did their ENS 1, 2, and 3, 4 in ninth grade, they need 5 additional PE credits at some point during high school. So I would recommend your students start with those classes first, and you can see that there's still a lot of open space in their schedule. So then we can move on and see what other classes might be good to fill in. But here we know we've met all of our graduation requirements. Next, we want to make sure we're meeting any college admissions requirements. So in addition to those graduation classes, we need our college admissions requirements. So we have our foreign language, which is 20 credits, so 2 classes required, and then 30 is recommended. So we suggest that students take foreign language in consecutive terms until they reach the highest level that they want to go. So if your student starts language in ninth grade, have them take maybe the 1, 2 level in term 1, the 3, 4 level in term 2, and then the 5, 6 level in 10th grade. So you want to go until the student has reached the highest level and take those back to back. This is especially important in some of our languages where we only offer the 1, 2 class in the fall term, term 1, and then we only offer the 3, 4 level in term 2. It's really important that they take that in the same school year so they don't have a large gap in between those courses. For math classes for college admissions, we've already got our 2 math classes on here that are required for graduation. So the third year of math is required for college admissions. It's the integrated 1, 2, and 3 levels, but they do recommend that 4th year as well. So taking math another year in high school to meet that 4th year of recommended math for college admissions is important as well. For science, again, that's 20 credits. So you had your biological science, your physical science, and the colleges do recommend that 3rd year of science. So if you have room in your schedule to add that in, that would be a great additional class as well. Then you can fill in the rest of your classes with whatever else you would like to take. So there's lots of options for students. I mentioned off-roll earlier. This is especially good for students who might be involved in sports. Maybe they have work obligations, transportation issues. So it's, we have room in the 4x4 schedule for students to fit in those off-rolls. Any other programs your student might be involved in, so maybe AVID, band, ROTC, journalism, yearbook, whatever it might be, making sure that they fit those courses in there as well. A lot of times those are the classes that the students really enjoy taking and they really enjoy being involved in those programs. So we want to make sure that they have room in their schedule for those. Any interest in any specific subject area. So if a student is interested in math or science or business, making sure that they add some additional courses in those subject areas. This can be really good to explore, especially if the student is interested in a major in college in that particular area. It's really good for them to try out some of those courses in high school. Like I mentioned earlier, we highly recommend that students take language classes in consecutive terms to maintain that continuity and practice with the language. So having those language classes back to back is the best way to get through those. And then any other classes the students will take will count as elective credits. So once they've met the minimum in a subject area, any additional credits will count as elective credits. The other part of the four-year plan will show you this chart, which has boxes that you can fill in for each quarter of the class that you're taking. So this is a great way to do it if you want to put in the grade level that the student has taken the class. Once they've started completing classes, I like to fill in the actual grade that they received. So A, B, or C, I'll fill that in each of these boxes. But this is a great visual way to see how the student is meeting all of their requirements. So the dark gray boxes are the graduation requirements. So you can see which ones are required. So, in the subject area section, it will tell you if it's required in a specific grade level. The classes or credits that are in the white area, those are actually elective credits. So again, once you meet the minimum credits in a subject area, additional credits will move down to the elective category. So in math, for example, student took a math class in 9th grade and 10th grade and then continued on in 11th grade. So those 11th grade credits come out of the elective category. All of the language credits are technically elective credits for graduation. So it fills in pretty quickly once you start putting all of your classes in there.
All right, it's Mrs. C here. So the other reason why we highlight the importance of course selection is because we want to help our students find a balance. You know, they are definitely, as you just heard Ms. Kadamora speak, there are required courses that they have to take with us, but they also have a lot of flexibility in terms of their electives. So we want to help them find a balance between those. And I love this quote, and it's something even as adults, it's hard for us to find a balance, whether, you know, we're juggling work, family, even school, but balance is not something you find, it's something you create. So we want to be very intentional about it and really help our students find the balance in school, because they're juggling a lot of different responsibilities, whether maybe they have a part-time job, maybe they have caretaking responsibilities, community service, they play a sport, you name it. And the reason why balance is so important is because when we surveyed our Westview students, 78% of them told us that they are stressed. And this is a very high number. And the reasons they are stressed is because 78% of them said because of college admissions, 70% said because of finding a job, 67% said uncertainty of the future, 67% there's just not enough time, and then 62% said because of parent expectations. So these are all obviously very concerning percentages, and we wanted to help our students really, you know, have a great experience here at Westview, still meet the requirements for graduation and for any post-secondary options they're thinking about, while still trying to find a balance between everything that they have going on. So how do we create a balance in your schedule? So the first thing is definitely time. So we have a homework time analysis worksheet that's available on our course, on our counseling website. And so we surveyed students and asked them, on average, how many hours per week do you spend on homework? So the list doesn't include every single class that we offer, but it is vast and it has a lot of really good information. So I highly recommend for our students to review that homework time analysis, which is linked in this presentation. So you can really get an idea of how much outside work is required for the classes they're thinking about. The other thing you really need to think about is, do you have other commitments? Will an offer help? So for example, for sports, something that you might find very useful is in our course catalog, you will find the athletic section, and it actually tells you whether or not, depending on the sport your student is taking, if it's something that if they recommend for them to take an off-roll due to that sport, or if it's not necessary. So when they have other commitments, it's really important to take those into consideration with the classes that they're picking. And then also something as simple, using a weekly or monthly calendar. I know a lot of our students love using technology, so most of them are using their phones or their laptops, you know, their Chromebooks, but paper versions are great too. We have a great planner that we have available here at Westview that our students can make notes and really kind of keep track of everything that they have going on for the day, for the week, for the month, you name it. There's also interest. So if you pursue classes and activities that you are passionate about, you're really going to enjoy those classes a lot more. They still may be a little challenging at times, but you'll still get through it because you really are interested in that subject. And I think you'll probably thrive in it because you really enjoy the topic. So we highly recommend for you to find something that you're interested in. You know, take those classes that you're interested in. Take advantage of all the elective credits that you have to take to graduate. And then also just learn more about the classes that we offer. So if you look at this link, it links you directly to our course offerings page on our counseling website. And it gives you lots of information about all the classes that we offer, lots of really great detailed information. So really, educate yourself on the classes that we offer, what they entail, and what the workload may be. Then we also want you to build your skills. Gradually increase the academic rigor of your classes. And this is really important. Like, we prefer for you to focus not on how many AP classes you should be taking, for example, but how many can you actually manage and still be able to balance the rest of your outside activities that you may have in your day-to-day. And this is something that is really important, because if you start little by little, like for example, as a freshman, we don't often recommend taking AP classes, but let's say you take 1 or 2 as a sophomore, see how they are, like how much homework are you getting? Do you really want to take significantly more AP classes as a junior, as a senior? Just something we want you to pay attention, because it's more important for you to get good grades than it is for you to show that you've taken, rigorous classes and then not get good grades in those classes. So something just to really think about. And then something to help you really be prepared for our challenging classes is take the recommended courses. So if you look at our course catalog, every single class will tell you if there is a recommended course you should take prior to taking that advanced level. So to definitely take advantage of that. And again, you will find that in our course catalog that's linked in there. And then why is this important? This is important because we want our students to have all the post-secondary options available to them, whether it's community college, military, vocational school, 4-year college, you name it. We don't just want them to graduate from Westview High School. That's obviously a very important piece, but we also want to prepare them for after high school and whatever plans they may have. And it's something that we really are passionate about, and we want to make sure that they are just prepared and have the options and are eligible to apply for a 4-year college, for example, or anything like that. So that is why this is really important, and something that we should take a lot of time in terms of really figuring out how to help them find a balance. So this is a fun little activity. I wish we were in person so we can do it together. I do want you though to do it amongst yourselves at home. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds just to review with your family. What factors do you think from these 5 are the most important in college admissions? So kind of just rank them in your head, kind of start thinking about what do you think is the most important of the 5. So I'm just going to give you about 15 seconds just to think about it, and then I'll tell you what the ratings are. So go ahead and just kind of talk amongst yourself. You have 5 seconds left. Okay, so let's kick it off. Hopefully, I like to think that the first one is typically a little bit of common sense, but that's going to be grades in all courses. So hopefully you knew that that is really important. Grades matter. All grades from 9th to 12th grade matter. And then the second one is strength of curriculum. So this is really important, and hopefully you caught on earlier. But these 2 are critical, because you can see here that grades still are more important than rigor. So if you're taking a lot of AP classes, for example, but you're not getting good grades, that's actually going to hurt you. It's better for you to take classes that you will be successful in and are at the appropriate level and get good grades than to take a lot of rigorous classes that you're actually not doing well in. So something to think about. And then number 3, which is changing now recently, is admission test scores. So you will see, especially for our current seniors, they've seen this a lot, that a lot of schools have gone test optional or even test blind. So for example, the UCs no longer are accepting SAT or ACT scores, and a lot of private schools as well aren't requiring them. So something to think about, that this factor might actually decrease in importance, because it already has. The next one is an essay or writing sample. And so these are also very important, especially, for the UCs, you have your personal insight questions, your personal statement on the Common App. The CSUs are actually the ones that do not require an essay role. And then number 5, extracurricular activities. So colleges definitely want to see that you are involved in something outside of school, whether it's sports, whether it's clubs, leadership opportunities, you name it. So that's also really important. And then here is a bigger list of all the factors that are very important in college admissions. And this came from the National Association for College Admission Counseling. So you can see all the data here in terms of where we pulled this information. We have our counseling website, which we have an entire section on academics and our course information, which includes, 4-year planning information, our course catalog, course offerings. That's actually where you also find that homework time analysis document. So please take advantage of all the resources that we have on our website as well as our Canvas page. You'll find a lot of really helpful and useful information on there as well in terms of course scheduling. You'll also find our contact information, how you can make an appointment with us. And I know we covered a lot of information, but we are very thankful that you came and spent this time with us. We hope that your students will pick the right and the best classes for them, and that we are here to support them and you as well as a family to make sure that they are on track to meeting their post-secondary goals. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.